I got you. I clicked the bell on you, so if it does automatically go live, yep, it's set up.
It's live?
No, it's just set up to go live. Let me go back here.
Oh, what is up with OBS?
Wait, we are live.
Okay. Can you post the link? Oh, I see it. I got it. Never mind. What's up, guys?
It does automatically go live. Yep. It's set up.
So it's live?
Oh shit, hold up. It's on my phone. No, it's just set.
Alright, let me post this link. Hi, Anina.
Yeah, go ahead.
You ready to hear some pseudoscience bullshit?
Well, where she's from, she's used to it.
Nah, true, good point.
Yeah.
Let me go to share your work and post this one now.
Pop this chat out and bring up homeboys. Shit.
Go on Twitter, and then I will. Hold on. Let me take off push to talk because I don't need it for the live stream, but I need it for you, and I need to take that off. Okay, give me 1 minute, guys, and I will break down the little story before we get started. Live stream was a bust. New link. Live now. Okay. So, how many people I got in here? 5? That's not bad. The other one had 8 because I had to wait for people to find the new link.
Yeah, and I'm not Faye, so you're just gonna have to deal.
Mm-hmm. Faye talking her nonsense while playing her cupcake game. That was funny.
Yeah.
Nina said also the Faye stream was awesome. Yeah, OBS is weird. It used to be that I hit go live, or I hit start live stream on YouTube, and it goes to a certain page, and it shows your live stream, but it's blank, right? It says nothing streaming. And then you go to OBS, and then hit stream there, and it goes to that YouTube page and shows you the preview before you actually go live, you know? But now I guess you just press live on OBS, and it just goes straight to being live.
Hey, are we gonna tell this gaping asshole that we're live?
Yeah, I mean, he saw the link.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you put it in the main chat.
Yeah. Hey, I'll be back. Give me like a minute.
Yeah, I'll tell them the story while you're gone. So, this guy comes into the AIU Discord, right? Asks Devin if he's really an atheist, which already is a sign of extreme stupidity, because, you know, his channel's called Atheism is Unstoppable. He's done years of content to do with atheism, and yet this guy still asks, you know, if he's an atheist, or totally ridiculous. And then says he can prove that a creator exists, and post this link to his website, and his website's filled with articles that he wrote. None of it's original. He didn't come up with it himself. It all comes from a bunch of pseudoscience that's been going around for a long time. I remember maybe like 5-6 years ago, I found a channel called Spirit Science. A lot of the stuff he talks about is the same as that. And if you've been on YouTube, you might see ads for this streaming service called Gaia. It's pretty much the same thing. Even in their disclaimer, it'll say anything in any of our videos, you know, spoken by these people is not reflective of our views or ideas. Well, obviously, they're not going to stand by these things because they know it's pseudoscience nonsense. Another one is Viper TV. I've seen those a lot. The Viper TV is even funnier because in their disclaimer, it straight up says, we are not held liable for any content that isn't true, or, you know what I'm saying? They basically have a disclaimer to say, if this is bullshit, it's not our fault. So none of these channels will put their name behind the content they put out. You know, it's just them releasing entertainment, basically. And it's meant to be entertainment. It's not meant to be taken as real stuff. Even in any of these videos you watch, and they have these scientists on there, which usually are scientists. They have PhDs and stuff like that, but they're still into pseudoscience. Even they, when they talk, they use verbiage like, could it be that blah, 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 blah? You know, they never really fully say things, you know. They always have an out. Oh, yeah, Anita said, oh my god, I know Gaia. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I've been seeing the... I mean, that channel, they've been around for a long time. They used to be called Gaium, but they took the M off, and now it's just Gaia.
Wait, wasn't that a character on Star Trek Next Generation? The one that Whoopi Goldberg played?
Was that her name? I don't remember what her name was. Yeah. But Gaia is the Earth Mother, right? The goddess of the Earth. In old mythology.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Guinan. I just threw that out there as a joke.
You might be right. It was Guinan, yeah. So, should we get into this article now? Or?
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, let's do this. Let me open it up. There's some really funny shit. Oh, I closed it. Let me get it from the DM message. But it's funny because these people will say that this is undeniable proof, but there's nothing scientific about this. They use science. It's not to say they don't use science, they don't use math. They use science, they use math, but the big mistake they do is to say that it's undeniably true and say that it's science without using the scientific method. You know what I'm saying? They use science, but not the scientific method. So basically they're using different sciences, looking at those and connecting the dots and saying, look, there's a pattern here and blah, 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 blah. This means that this must be true, but there's no scientific method. They're not proving anything's true. There's no predictions. There's no reviewed studies. There's no, repeating experiments to see if it's true and see if you always get the same reproduced effects, Let me show this to everyone. Oh, they can't see it because I closed it. Properties. No, that's not it. There you go. Alright, so right off the bat, just by the name of this guy's website, you could tell it's complete bullshit. Esoteric Awakening, it's called. For those who don't know what esoteric means, it's pretty much a word to describe some sort of knowledge or understanding that only very few people can understand or grasp, So already that's already a scapegoat to use whenever anybody says this is bullshit. Oh, well, only very few people can understand this, so you're just not, one of these special people that can understand what this means, even though it's not very hard to understand. And it's easy to see that these people are just connecting dots and coming up with their own conclusions.
Yeah, but anytime you ask one of these people, like, hey, what makes you privy to this knowledge that nobody else can?
Yeah,
and then they're quick to turn around and tell you, well, look it up.
Yeah, look it up. And well, in the end, none of what he gets is knowledge that he found himself. This is all. Everything he writes about is stuff that you can easily look up for yourself anywhere you can. I've seen all of this before. This is nothing new. Anybody who's curious can just go and find this on the internet easily. I mean, this guy, like I said, he doesn't even make his own videos. He just posts videos from other sites, So there's nothing special about this. It's not esoteric. Anybody can find this.
No.
Alright, so right from the beginning, this is proof of God right here. What is reality? The hollow fractal universe. Do-do-do. And then he quotes Pythagoras and says, all is number. Oh, amazing. So I'm going to start first paragraph. First of all, he doesn't know how to properly write because he's not indenting the first sentence of each paragraph. So, he's not a professional writer. To understand the design of this reality, we must realize first and foremost that the mathematical perfection, just as the architect designed it, already off the bat, he's already mentioning the architect that designed everything. So that's already showing you the bias that he mentions it in the first sentence.
that's the first flaw, because he's already assuming that there's a creator.
Yeah, and someone brought that up to him last night, and he said, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. So I screen capped this, and it was like, look, the first sentence, you mentioned it. Like, what are you talking about? You're starting from that. So the architect designed it, and as Pythagoras said, all is number. Yeah, because we made numbers. That's how we measure everything, obviously. That being said, to understand the nature of this reality, you have to study the numbers, the language of the architect, the designer. The only ultimate truth will always be in the numbers. And somehow this one guy knows how to look at these numbers, right? And interpret it. Even though he didn't create these numbers, the people who created these numbers and have studied numbers their entire lives see it completely different than him. He misspelled Fibonacci. It's Fibonacci, isn't it? Isn't there an R in that?
Yeah.
He misspelled Fibonacci. Sequence is the fingerprint of the creator that has been left on everything in this reality. So there's no proof of that. See what I'm saying? He just says things without proof and then says that this is proof.
In order to say that, you have evidence for a creator, it's the same shit that we go through whenever we argue against Christians or any other religious people. They say, well, how do you explain this and this and this without a God? But we would always ask the same thing. You have to prove that God or that creator first.
Yeah, exactly.
And that already, flips this shit on its head already.
Yeah, he's doing the opposite. Just like, this is the same as any science deniers, any flat earthers, they all do the same thing. They have a bias, and they use science, or at least the conclusions from science to, like I said, connect the dots and get to their conclusion, as opposed to seeing, and in the end, there's multiple conclusions you can use your mind and imagination to come up with. So none is more realistic than others unless you can prove it, through the scientific method. Tesla's Vortex mathematics and even sacred geometry shows us that there is nothing random in this reality. The vortex math is actual numbers, and sacred geometry is how those numbers are expressed into shapes, how they take form to construct the reality, and how the shapes evolve to ever-increasing complexity from the microcosm to the macrocosm. I mean,
this is like the Buddhist/Hindu version of Kalam's cosmological argument.
Yeah.
It's all the same wording, the big numbers, the big words. This can't be here without a creator.
I already found another red flag: sacred geometry. Like, right there, you're already using things that isn't proven to be true to prove that something is true. You know what I'm saying? Like, what, sacred geometry? Like, what?
Well, it's just one of those things with. It's just one of those things with numbers. Everything can double up in numbers in a certain way, and I used to do stuff like that with rulers and compasses when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You would just bounce things off each other and it would make it all symmetrical. That doesn't mean it's
sacred.
Proof of a fucking creator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if anything, if it was me doing it, was more satanic.
Yeah, and and on top of that, it's just like you can't prove something with something that isn't proven. It just doesn't make sense. It's that this is where I find it funny, because you could be into this stuff. That's cool. I might even be cool with you speculating with this and saying, well, it's a possibility. I'd even be cool with you with that. But the second you say this is undeniable truth and that this proves something, you're wrong. That's it. You fucked up, and you're doing science a disservice. Because you have to use the scientific method. That's how science works. To say this is because that's what he said. He said, I can prove it with science and math, but none of this is using the scientific method. So how can it be science? It can't be. Yeah. He's using.
Well, it's science, and it's inconclusive, and all that other shit that he said because he said so. Mm-hmm. It's all true because he said so.
Yeah, I called it. What did I named this video Pseudoscience Nonsense. So he goes in the Discord chat and says, pseudoscience nonsense when I'm a scientist. So I was like, all right, so show us your PhD. And obviously he doesn't have a PhD, so he doesn't show it to us. He's not a scientist. If he was a scientist, he wouldn't be saying this shit. Of course, this math far predates Tesla, dating back to at least the time of Atlantis, which we still haven't proven to be real. Most likely as far back as Lemuria, another mythological place that we don't know if it's true. Or even Hyperborea, again, an even older fucking mythological place that we still haven't proven is true. So if you're stating these things that we haven't even proven are true, we can see you have a bias in believing things that aren't true without
Well,
knowing.
even then, with all the stuff that he's saying, it predates Tesla or all this stuff. Where you have to provide evidence for that. You have to back that kind of claim
Oh
up. Just
yeah,
that one little bit there.
oh yeah. He has no sources stated here.
No.
There's no way to look into unless you just have to basically research everything yourself. But I mean, luckily for me, I was into this kind of stuff a long time ago. Not that I believed it, but I was into it for like entertainment value. So I know a lot of this stuff, and I know where he gets some of these things. To fully understand this article, you need to intimately familiar. Wow, what bad English! That just broke my brain from how bad English that was. Wow.
When it makes you stop.
Yeah, I was intimately. What? What the fuck? To fully understand this article, you need to be intimately familiar with these two. Oh no, it's good English. I just read it fucked up. That was my bad. Two fields of mathematics. If you are new to these fields of study, I wrote this previous articles. Now that's bad. I wrote this previous articles on the significance of the number 6 that can give you a basic introduction to this math. Yeah. First off, every number is significant. No matter what number you want to think of, you will find patterns of that number. I think Grant, last night I was telling you about how me and my friends, when we were teenagers in high school, we had a game where we would look for the number 23 and we would find it everywhere. Everywhere. Yeah. Trucks would pass by and the phone number, the last 2 numbers would be 23. We'd look at a car and be like, oh shit, the license plate says 2323. You know, like everything would say 23 because that's what we were looking for. Our brains want to find patterns. That's what it does. So no matter what number you look at, the flat earthers have one like that. But I forgot what number it was. But they have a certain number that they say is a number that proves God and proves the flat Earth. And it's like, yeah, look, you could find this and this number, this many. We have this many of this in our bodies and this and that. And it's all bullshit. And it's like, yeah, you could do that with any number. Like, and we can find patterns of other numbers that say the 6 isn't significant because I can find patterns with the number 2, as many patterns. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you mix up numbers and like symbolism.
Yeah. And this is all full of symbolism.
And then when you see something that kind of like you start seeing a pattern, you're like, oh man, this has got to mean something. But that's as far as they'll go into it. Well, if it means something, it's got to mean this and this and this and this. Instead of saying, okay, well, if it does mean something, let me find out. But it doesn't. Never does.
I got one dislike. It's got to be from that dude. I just saw it.
Well, he's still in the server, fucking running his mouth.
But he saw I posted the link in there. So.
Yeah, I'm about to ban him, so he actually has to be forced to come over and watch.
All right, so hold on. I wanted to pop out the chat so I can see what people are saying. Oh, there's a few people in here talking. 46 and 2.
Yeah.
Where was I? Sacred geometry. Blah blah blah.
Johnny Baseball, maybe 23. See, Don Mattingly, Michael Jordan, they were all 23. David Justice, it's got to mean something.
I was a fan of Michael Jordan. That was another one. I was like 23. You see. First, let's start with God, the Creator. What is God? See, he says it right there. First, let's start with God.
Yeah.
The Creator.
Again,
what is God?
Automatically assuming the Creator.
Yep. The All-Father is pure consciousness. Can you prove that? No? Okay. From the entire matrix itself to the smallest piece of it, all of it is part of one source. The All. Yeah. But we would have to see you use the scientific method to prove that, make predictions and prove that, and then show it to other scientists so they can peer review it and repeat your experimentations. But
so far, from what I've seen, he's using the term God. He's using the term consciousness. Mm-hmm. You can tell some of his stuff is
Matrix.
Like Hindu / Buddhist.
Oh yeah.
And he uses All Father. That's what basically the Nords called Odin. So it's like he's mixing a bunch of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, he does that. You'll see that he mixes a lot of things together and says, "Oh, look, this is proof because the Mayans and the Aztecs believe this, so that must be true." Yeah. Our bodies are simply avatars. That's Hinduism. Our bodies are simply avatars for our consciousness. Material forms in this dense 3D reality. Still, as you've seen, all right, we're what 4 paragraphs in,
Mm-hmm.
still nothing scientific in here.
No,
No scientific process at all.
just a bunch of claims.
Yeah, just a bunch of claims. That's, nothing new either, but what we really are is our soul, which is what temporarily inhabits these skin suits. You're probably wondering, what is a soul? Your soul is conscious light. Everything in this matrix is constructed out of conscious light. Light carrying information that is self-aware. The double slit experiment and quantum entanglement has proven this conclusively. No, it has not. Oh my god, no it hasn't.
It's the big words again.
Yeah.
It's proven it conclusively, so who's going to argue that, huh?
Well, this is where I'm saying where he takes scientific conclusions and then uses them to fit his narrative and show that it's proof, but it's not proof. He's just taking other experiments that prove certain things, but not what he's saying. Quantum entanglement wasn't created to explain what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? It explains something else completely, but he's using it to explain what he's saying without doing any experiments or predictions or verification. So what does this mean exactly? It means these skin suits, these avatars, are only an illusion of solidity through magnetic fields. This reality, in fact, loosely connected empty space linked by electrons, then given form through resonance from the source. The Allfather, there you go again. This is called Cymatics, and covered in depth in the Introduction to Mysteries video I have in my video archive. You should watch when you finish reading this if you want to see some experiments and presentations on this science. Yeah, Cymatics is the study of certain vibrations. Basically, the effect certain vibrations have on things. It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove that we're spirits. It doesn't prove that we're avatars and the solidity is illusional. It doesn't prove any of that. All it does is show that certain vibrations, certain things react to certain minimal modal vibrations. That's all it explains. Let's see. Everything in this reality is the result of a frequency. The Creator sings to us, and the universe, one song, takes shape. Again, no proof of any of that.
The Creator sings.
This Creator sings to us. No, it's funny. If you could look at the article, the way he writes universe, he's playing a word game here. This is a thing a lot of flat earthers do as well. He says the Creator sings to us in the universe, and he capitalized verse. In universe,
yeah, the whole single
verse, yeah, like I heard a song.
I heard somebody make that same line.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was fucking Josh Feuerstein that did it.
Josh Feuerstein did it. Yep.
Like in the beginning, that was the first verse. That was the one verse, exactly. The universe,
which was the one verse, the first word. Yeah, he tried to make it say that it was God's first word, right? The first word he said to us.
Yeah,
bullshit. This is just straight up making shit up. Well, I mean, he didn't make it up, though. Somebody else made it up. He's just falling for it. Just like flat earthers fall for those flat earther videos. I was watching one where this guy wrote in an email to one of the flat earther guys, and the guy read it, and he was saying he believed in globe earth, and then watched this one guy's 3-minute video, and convinced him. And it was like, wow, you watched the 3-minute video and centuries of science was erased from your mind? From a 3-minute video? From a guy who really doesn't understand science. It was really ridiculous, that video. This reality is a literal matrix composed entirely out of information encoded into self-aware conscious light. Something akin to the holodeck on the Enterprise in the old Star Trek series.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Our bodies are temporary avatars for our consciousness. They are just vehicles for this dimension. Well, which is wrong, because in the holodeck, they weren't avatars. It was them themselves, their bodies, and everything else was an illusion.
And they were traveling through other dimensions to get to... no, not the holodeck. That was the transporter.
Yeah, the transporter.
I'm sorry.
No, but in the holodeck, they were still themselves. They weren't an illusion. Everything around them was an illusion.
Star Trek lore.
Yeah, can't even get Star Trek right, you fucking nerd. You're not even worthy of being called a nerd. God damn it. Worse than a nerd. Our bodies are temporary avatars for our consciousness. They are just... Damn, how many times is he going to say this? They are just vehicles for this dimension and reality. See, this is what's funny. It's such word salad, and he repeats it over and over again, and then says you don't understand it. Well, you're repeating the same thing like 50 times. How many times are you going to explain that the body is just a vehicle? Like, so many times, in so many different ways. However, there are many other dimensions in this reality, as the video I have on sacred geometry explains, and even teaches you how to count them, and how they work and differ from this one.
Yeah,
Right.
you count 3 this way, 3 that way, multiply it by 6, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Think of the source as a radio station emitting countless frequencies. We are the radio tuned into these frequencies. We are currently only tuned into one station using our antenna, which is our pineal gland. Of course it is.
Brains in space.
Mhm. However,
This is
we can
brains in
tune into
space.
many others if we train ourselves to exercise and eat right and stop drinking fluoridated water.
Oh, wow.
You'd think there'd be entire countries that can do this then, because there are entire countries that don't have fluoridated water.
Yeah, like the Ganges River in India.
Yeah. Yeah, like pretty much all of Asia and all of Africa, none of them have fluoridated water. They should be traveling through other dimensions constantly then. I mean, look at Japan too. They eat pretty well as well.
Wait a minute, is it really said fluoridated?
Yeah, it says fluoridated.
No, I mean, is that the proper word?
I don't know. I've never heard it.
I thought it would be like fluoridized or some shit.
It could be. Vortex math also proves reincarnation. Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure there's a math that proves reincarnation. Ridiculous. Oh my god. Proves reincarnation is a mathematical fact and is based into the matrix. Here we go. These guys, like creationists, always love to say this. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy never ceases to exist. It only changes form. Since everything in the matrix is constructed out of energy, in the end, the energy is the only thing that is real. Everything else is a literal hologram given to the illusion of solidity constructed out of that energy. This reality is symmetrical, cyclical, so the real question is, why do we keep coming back? Yeah, none of that. Thermodynamics does not prove reincarnation. Just because energy
Doesn't
never
prove
ceases
anything.
to exist doesn't mean that when you die, your energy comes back in another body. It could just your energy could just disperse into the universe and become just like science says that we're all part of stars. Stardust. You could just go back into that process, and go right back into the universe. So that's what I'm saying about this. They use this as, no, it's proof, it's 100%. But I myself can think of other outcomes of this and other conclusions.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist. This is just my
Well, that's the thing.
imagination.
You can come. See, he's saying this stuff as the conclusion, but we can find other conclusions from this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like he hasn't finished.
Yeah.
He only got to a certain point. He said, "That's it. I'm good here. I'll just stick with what this is right here, and I'll mix some more shit in with it, make it sound pretty."
But this is a good reason why we have the scientific method, because anybody can look at stuff and come up with a conclusion. It doesn't mean it's right. We all have biases. You know what I'm saying? We all have things that we look at and say, oh, this means that. But we have the scientific method, so it can be proven without a doubt that that's what that conclusion is. We wouldn't know shit right now if we never used the scientific method. We'd still be living on myths and bullshit. And pseudoscience like this bullshit. The Buddhist Hindu, here we go. The Buddhist Hindu still have the intact. That's, you don't separate intact. That's fucking horrible. Teachings passed down from Atlantis. Oh my god. So Buddhists and Hindus are still using teachings that were passed down from Atlantis, he's saying. Since Rome was never able to convert the East by the sword like they have the West and destroy the teachings. The Vedas, Dhammapada, and even the Emerald Tablets of Thoth teach us that we can leave this dimension of reality if we learn how and want to escape samsara, and studying the keys of a piano in the original solfeggio show the teachings were right. No, it doesn't show that.
Damn it! I wish I didn't ban him because I want to know if he could travel that way.
You banned him? Oh.
Yeah, I banned him because I wanted him to come over here to see this damn stream.
Yeah, well, he might be watching. Who knows? He's not typing in the chat though. Where was I? Where did I
Can he travel from this dimension of reality
to another one?
To another one to escape
and prove that he's doing it.
Yeah.
He can't. none of this is provable, even though he says it is, and none of this is anywhere near provable. And he doesn't even start the scientific method on this. Not that this would come as a surprise to the initiated, since they would be well aware the ancients' intellect and knowledge far exceed that of modern humanity. I'll tell you, this is all that shit that I was telling you that I watch for entertainment and laugh at, all this Gaia TV stuff. That where they always say that. They always say, "Oh, these
like,
they had knowledge that we didn't, and in 2,500 years the circle will be complete, and we'll know this knowledge."
It's like stuff you would see on like Ancient Aliens or some shit.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. Yeah. The Emerald Tablets. Oh my god! Listen, this sentence is hilarious. The Emerald Tablets may be a forgery, impossible to know for sure, but the science they teach is 100% verifiably correct. Right? It's a forgery, but the science is correct. Like what? Coupled with the other knowledge presented in them that is also verifiably correct. I like that he just says it's verifiably correct, but doesn't show the process of verifying it.
Yep.
I myself lean towards them being legitimate, of course you do, and will write an article in the future laying out the facts and my analysis of their legitimacy. For now, all we need to know is that the teachings contained in them can be proven to be verifiably correct. Yeah, that's all we need to know. We don't need to know how they are proven to be verifiably correct. We just need to know that they are. Karma is also provable science fact.
Man.
Oh, here we go. This is where I say he uses science, but he doesn't use it properly. Like right here. Newton's third law of motion states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Couple this with the first law of thermodynamics I mentioned earlier, that states energy can never be destroyed. It only changes forms. And what you have is a closed system, a matrix where everything, no matter how minute, is connected to and affects everything else within the system. This is known as Zen in the Vedic teachings. Chaos theory in mathematics, and the butterfly effect in lay circles.
So basically, he just takes jargon, and
100%.
Which on the face of it, an accurate statement, perhaps of some scientific rule or principle, or part of the statement, not the entire statement, and then he like mates it strangely, like grafts it to this mystical thinking BS, which is it Zen? Is it Buddhism? Is it, I don't know.
Yeah, he just takes all these different forms of mysticism and takes these little scientific things and then mixes them all together to form his narrative, through his bias.
He's like condoning a bunch of religions.
Bodhi mantra.
Yeah,
naming himself after the Bodhi tree which is supposedly where Buddha gained enlightenment, sitting beneath the Bodhi tree.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he thinks he is
whatever.
That's what he was saying. He was saying to us last night, because I read it. He didn't think I read it, but I read his stuff, and I told him none of this uses a scientific method. I was like, "Where's your peer-reviewed studies? Where's your sources?" And he was like, "Oh, you're just too your IQ is too low to understand it." And I'm like, "Yeah, right. That's what it is." I was like, "I understand it all. It just doesn't show any proof of anything."
Now we do have to back up to the way this guy was acting, because as soon as he came in, we started taking little jabs at him. Right. Like throwing flat Earth memes and shit like that. And then he started getting like really upset, like really pissed off.
Oh yeah, he flipped out.
And he got really angry when Alf noticed the photograph of the guy that everybody knows.
That's what triggered him off.
Yeah.
That's what triggered him off.
He's got because his skin had turned blue because the colloidal silver that he consumed for years, believing that it had some health benefits. And this is his proof of the blue. Gives us it's the blue giants.
Blue giants. That's the genetics. It's the genetics from the blue giant.
He said that it was from genetics. I was like, oh, that guy didn't turn blue from genetics. He turned blue because he ingested silver for decades.
But the main thing I was trying to get to was I was like, okay, I'm going to stop making fun of you for like 2 seconds. Is there a way that you could break this down into like a Cliff's Notes version where you could just kind of give us a rundown? Because nobody is going to take the time to read all this shit right off the bat.
Yeah.
If you say, hey, I have proof of a creator, and we say, okay, fine, what's up? And you show us this, we're gonna be like, hey, immediately, bullshit. So can you break it down, and if it piques the interest, we'll continue on. And it turned into, well, you need to stop being lazy. I'm not gonna be your fucking tutor.
Yeah, then why are you coming in here trying to talk about this shit? Like, get the fuck out of here then.
Yeah, so from that point, nobody was taking him seriously at that point.
And on
No.
top of that, I would like to say that this guy is an extreme coward. He talked tough. I told him my name, where I'm from, and asked him the same, and he would not tell me, which just proves he is extreme cowardice.
Biatch.
Yeah, he's a bitch.
So, something about him, about his reaction, reminded me a little bit of sort of a social justice warrior mindset, because I remember when Dave Rubin was being attacked. He was going on the talking circuit in campuses, and the hecklers would interrupt his little talks by just making noise, banging gongs, shaking rattles and stuff. And then he would say, "Okay, guys, let's talk," and they would just make noise. There was one video finally where a girl talked to him. She was very snide, and she said, and he asked her, "Well, why don't you explain to me? Give me one example of when you were oppressed." Yeah, because I believe that you're a privileged person. I don't believe that you're an oppressed person. So give me one example of how you were oppressed. And then she said, pay me, and I'll teach you. It's not my job to teach you about these things. Always
the point.
And he's like, I think everybody pulled out $1. Everyone pulled out $1 just to pay her, just to hear what she was saying, just to shut her up. But this is so his tactic is when you ask him for information, for anything, to back up what he says, to encapsulate it, or just state out his evidence in a simple language that we can address. He says, "Oh, you have to pay me to tutor you. I'm not going to tutor you without being paid." And then he wanted like $600 in order to tutor someone or something.
Oh my God.
It's like how the conspiracy theorists do their shit. You ask them like, "Okay, well, how did chemtrails come about?" And they're just like, "Well, look it up. You have Google, don't you?"
Yeah, they always do that.
Yeah.
It's almost because they
Google it. You said Google it. I remember that famous.
They feel it's like they feel that they're privy to this knowledge that somehow nobody else has. But in order for you to gain that knowledge, you have to go through the time and effort to read Google like they did. They're not just going to hand this knowledge out, but they want you to know it.
It is kind of what I think Devin made a comment. He said is peak Dunning.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That dude is definitely peak Dunning. Yeah, 100%. Let me continue. Understanding the mysteries and the Vedic teachings they are derived from is based on understanding how energy works and manifests itself into what we perceive as reality, with the senses our avatars possess in this three-dimensional level we currently inhabit. Here goes another word game. If you search the internet or YouTube or anywhere else in the mainstream for that matter on why the elites, with EL capitalized of elites, and then parentheses, L is the Hebrew name for Saturn, so the elites are Saturn worshippers. Saturn, yeah, they worship Saturn. You will find mountains of pure nonsense. Now, I did a little research and I was watching this guy a TV thing yesterday, and these guys love Saturn. It comes up a bunch in those videos. And they even say that NASA is ran by ex-Nazis, what was the other? Freemasons and Luciferians that came from Aleister Crowley, and that the reason they sent Orion off was because of Saturn, and Orion was lined up, and they knew that they can use black magic to make sure their mission was successful. It's fucking ridiculous. I doubt any of the people giving their opinion will have the faintest idea what they are talking about. They have very limited knowledge on how this reality works, and those that do actually use a decent esoteric source only regurgitate what they have read with no real understanding of what it means or the science behind it. But, he does have a understanding of the science behind it, but he will not explain to you the science. He just tells you, just know this is real. I haven't found a source yet that has figured this out outside of Santos Bonacci, who is the foremost contemporary expert on the mysteries, in my opinion. Yeah, your opinion's garbage. But even searching through his work, I didn't find a definitive explanation that fully explains the significance of Saturn. Though the short video, coupled with a clip I added of Alan Watts, gives some great background information to help understand what I explain in this article. To understand Saturn and all the gods, for that matter, you need to understand the Tesla quote, who Tesla didn't believe in all this shit, just so you know. To understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Yeah, but that doesn't mean God. That just means the universe operates in energy, frequency, and vibration. So what does that mean exactly? Oh, he's going to tell us what it means. As I've already stated, everything in this reality is the result... Wow, this is... What? Everything everything in this reality is the result, a frequency emitted from the source. And the source is not the only thing emitting these frequencies. The universe is electric. If the source is the only thing emitting these frequencies, then how can you find the source if there's multiple places that the frequencies are being emitted from? The universe is electric. The frequencies shaping... Nah, it really isn't. The frequencies shaping the electric plasma into what we perceive as matter are expressed in the form of magnetism on the cosmic level. The profane often refer to this as gravity. The profane refer to it as gravity. Oh, here we go. Flat Earth talk right here. But there is no such thing as gravity separate from magnetism. It is simply an expression of electromagnetism. Prove it. Prove that. Let's see the scientific method for that. And prove that that's what it is. Of course, he can't. Even though he'll say that it is true. Basically, the planets are massive magnets that emit electromagnetic frequencies that govern the nature of our little patch of the universe here on Earth. This is where I say it's funny. Like I said before, I don't care if you find this entertaining, if you're into it for speculation, that's fine. But the second you say that this is fact, that it is provable fact, you can't deny it, you are a nut job. Because you are not proving anything. You're just connecting dots and coming up with a conclusion based on your own biases. But there is nothing here as scientific. There has not been one scientific thing in this so far. Back to the Tesla quote. What did Tesla mean by this quote? I don't know. We can ask Tesla or look through his journals and find out. Or you can just use your bias to make it up. What Tesla was saying is that the frequencies govern how quickly objects in this reality vibrate. The higher the frequency, the higher the matter vibrates. The higher it vibrates, the closer it becomes to becoming pure light. Crystals are a great example of this. Some crystals are even used as batteries in watches because of their high level of vibration. An easy way to visualize this concept is to consider the difference between ice, liquid water, and steam. They are all forms of water, and what is the difference between the changes? What is the difference that changes the state of their manifestation in this reality? What do you mean? What? What is the difference? One's liquid, one's solid, and one's gas. That's the difference. One water in cold that freezes turns to ice, and water that's hot turns to steam. I don't get what is he talking about. He's trying to make something special out of it. Only how quickly the molecule's vibrating. Yeah, that's how it works. Molecules that vibrate fast are disorganized. Therefore, they do not connect easily and separate. That's why you get steam. Now, molecules that vibrate slower tend to form solid shapes because they aren't vibrating, they aren't moving, they're connected, and they stay connected to each other. It's that easy. That's basic science. The molecules of water ice is composed of vibrates. That's not even English, bro. Like, the molecules of the ice water is composed of vibrates at a very low rate, making it very dense, whereas the molecules of water comprising steam are vibrating at very high rate. Okay, that's see, this is where I say he actually does use real science at times, but he doesn't use
only when it
suits his
validates his shit.
Exactly, but he doesn't use it in the method needed to prove something. It's just connecting dots. All matter in this reality must follow this law of the matrix. The most common way we use to increase the rates of vibration of molecules is through applying heat, but it is not the only way. Yeah, that's true. Microwaves come to mind as an easy example of how to transmute matter using microwave frequencies. Heat is the natural byproduct of increased vibration and frequencies. Going back to my earlier statement about the first law of thermodynamics, the increased vibration transmutates the energy of increased vibration to heat. Well, That is true, but using transmutates sounds like pseudoscience already. It causes heat because of friction, because the molecules are bouncing off each other and rubbing against each other at a fast rate.
But Alfie, listen to the word transmutate. How awesome does it sound? How awesome does that sound when I write that into horseshit?
Yeah, can you imagine me saying, "Oh, when I punch your face, the kinetic energy in my hand transmutate, or the potential energy in my hand transmutates into kinetic energy," right? That sounds like I'm talking shit. It's word salad. It's just trying to sound smart. Blavatsky was correct in her assessment that was correct. Can you show how she was correct? Don't just say she is. This is why this is not scientific, because he just says things are correct and he doesn't show how. Blavatsky was correct in her assessment that the first race of humans were ethereal beings, which she called the Polarians. It was not speculation, it is provable science. Well, if it's provable science, where is the work? Where is the scientific work that proves it? Not here. The Hutchison effect and Philadelphia experiment demonstrate how matter transmutates when you make it vibrate at different frequencies. The reason there were giants in the ancient world is because they were vibrating at a higher frequency than we do with a weaker magnetic field, making them less dense and therefore more ethereal in nature. Now, this is contrary to science. Science says the reason dinosaurs were so large and animals were so large at that time was because we had an even more oxygen-rich environment at that time than now. There's even an experiment right now the scientists are doing where they're putting dragonflies in environments that are more oxygen-rich, and now they've grown dragonflies that are 17% larger than the last generation because they're being born in this environment that has a lot of oxygen in it. So yeah, so there you go. Like if there were giants in the ancient world, it wouldn't be because they were vibrating at a higher frequency. It'd be because the air was so rich with oxygen, way more than now. Yes. Just like why dinosaurs were so large at the time. And
dinosaurs, insects,
yeah, all animals.
Not giants.
Not giants, yeah. But like I said, even if giants did exist, that would be the scientific reason, not this mumbo jumbo that he's putting in here. The reason we evolve and de-evolve, well, there's exactly no conclusive proof in science that says we de-evolve. In fact, evolve isn't just one direction. Evolve can be in any direction. It just means a change. Yeah. It doesn't, there's no such thing as de-evolve.
It's not necessarily a positive change. That's why
exactly it can be a negative change. Yeah, it can be a negative change, which people say is de-evolve, but that's,
evolution isn't like positive negative. It's just a change.
Yeah, it's a change that is brought upon by selection. Yeah. The reason we evolve and de-evolve at cyclical rates, can you show that happens? Is because of the orbit of the planets, which is of course cyclical, and we measure these cycles, calling them years, and there are greater measurements as well, such as in the Mayan system known as Great Wars. In Vedic knowledge, these are called yugas. In the Western tradition ages, epochs, etc., which are all based on the precession of the equinox and what planet is ruling the age, among other cosmic entities, like our twin star Sirius, and even radiation belt we pass through, as explained by Dasvril Project video, which is a video about the research the Third Reich did into these topics. Yeah, but just because they researched it doesn't mean it's true. But it's funny to say cyclical as well, because nothing we know through physics and astronomy that the planets don't spin or rotate in a perfect circle. You know what I'm saying? It's more oblique, right? Is that the right word, oblique or oval? The basic gestalt is that objects in the cosmos cause the frequencies to vibrate at different rates and directly affect the levels of intellect and consciousness we as conscious entities are able to achieve, and even the state of what we perceive to be matter and reality itself. If you want hard science, here we go. If you want hard science to demonstrate this fact, look into how magnetic helmets called the God helmet directly affect how people experience this reality, and how when you were born directly affects your personality, which can be demonstrated to astrological personality profiles. This can be considered to be your base programming or operating system to serve your function for the age you inhabit, which I think we all know astrology is bullshit. You can debunk it easy. I'm an Aries, and I'm not like most Aries at all. Most of the times when I read Aries, it's not right. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's right. You know why astrology seems right to people? Because they put very vague things. Most of the times when you read these very vague things, you can squeeze yourself into that box because it's such a huge box, you know.
Sorry, I got some clown in the fucking chat.
Oh, maybe that's him.
I don't know. Because now, this person in the chat's talking about the ultimate.
The
You know, not a creator or a god or anything. He's just referred to as the ultimate. I don't know who the fuck it is, but it's fucking retarded.
Where's Dee? I don't see Dee.
I guess somebody's saying this person might be Darth Dawkins, which, God, he's been... People bounce him around like a fucking hot potato anyway. So.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to talk to him. I don't even know who he is.
No, he ain't worth it. I mean, if that's him, then I'm done typing in chat then. Because it's the same shit over and over.
All right, well...
Is that really him?
I know Tristan said to... Is it Tristan saying it? Yeah,
no, it's Reese 2.0.
I don't know who that is either.
It's another one of those things. If it's
he said I am dark.
You know, if you don't have a creator to set things in motion in a certain order, then anything goes. There's no order at all. How do you fucking link a creator to some type of order when the universe itself shows no order whatsoever? Everything is chaotic as fuck.
I mean, even if it is order, it doesn't mean that somebody made that order.
That doesn't
be the way the universe works. You know,
you go back to the old school thing that we dealt with back in the 1.0 days. You have to prove the creator first. Before you can say that the creator did all this.
Saying things are in order so that proves the creator it's just bias, because the universe could just be the universe. You still have to prove that there's a creator.
Yes, Reese 2.0 is just right in here. The presupposition that there is a creator.
Exactly.
They're assuming the fucking creator.
You guys do not use science. Well, at least these guys do not use science. The scientific method does not work this way. This is not how you prove things.
Look at this. I did not say creator. Who gives a fuck? What a being that sets things into motion.
Well,
is that better?
It's just wordplay. If you're going to use the word the ultimate, it's the same
insane
thing. It's a wordplay. You're just
he's bounced off enough fucking YouTube channels to know that, hey, if I use certain words and I can nail them and say, well, I didn't say creator. I didn't say God. Get the fuck out of here with this shit.
So
we're trying to make fun of this stupid asshole over here,
and another stupid asshole shows up.
Yeah.
Hold on, I closed the pop-up chat. I gotta pop it out again.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're not inviting this fucker on. Fuck him.
I don't even want
to go eat a dick.
Invite me
an
on.
Ultimate dick, if that's what he's in tune to.
Oh, like he says, invite me on. Reese 2.0 says, don't invite him on. Sounds like you're outnumbered. Nobody wants you on. Tristan does. Tristan's like, I want blood. I mean,
Tristan has to come on here and handle it.
I mean, if what he's saying in the chat, he's already done. Like, what else can you do?
Yeah, the capital ultimate would be reference to be the personal or impersonal. Once again, it's God is everywhere.
Yeah,
God is personal. God is outside of space and time. It's the same shit.
Already pseudoscience.
It's a being that set things into motion. So where you're looking at it, no matter how the fuck you word it, go somewhere else with that shit.
Unless you have proof of what you're talking about using the scientific method, I'm not interested.
Bingo.
So, all right, so he brings up astrology as being proof, and then says, what does this science show us? Astrology is not science at all. It's never been proven by science. Basically, humans are little different than ants. We all have our role to play in the colony, which is the universal living organism, Gaia organ, we call Earth. And we don't really exercise free will. Most people are barely even that, what can be considered to be conscious. They are automatons, sleepwalkers in constant alpha brainwave state, stimulus, action, etc. I discussed this more in depth in this article I wrote on free will being an illusion the other day. Okay, well, what does that have to do with anything? This is an interesting article, as well as GnosticTeachings.org, that explains the Kunda buffer organ mentioned in Root Race's video, and though it doesn't go into the science behind it, then who cares? It certainly shows the Gnostics that originally wrote about these things understood the implications of science, once upon a time anyway. Their knowledge of what these things really mean is now as confused about what is symbolic and what is literal from the original works as all the other Abrahamist evidence by the articles devolution, again he uses that word that's not scientific, into Abrahamic nonsense about Satan and God being literal human-like entities, when they are obviously symbolic and figurative personifications of Dharma. No, they're not. They're really not. That has
Dharma?
nothing to do with Dharma. Those people had no idea what Dharma was at that time.
Like the Dharma Initiative on Lost.
Yeah. But also, it's funny that he says that they understood the implications of science, even though they don't go into the science behind it. The scientific method wasn't created yet at that time. They didn't know what science was at all. They had no idea how to prove things. They never did. The creator is not a person or entity. God is the ether itself and everything in it. All light is sentient and part of God. The frequencies arrange the light into matter. The idea Einstein had about the space-time fabric, his concept was correct, but it is not space-time fabric. It is the ether fabric, though a better description would be ether ocean. Yeah, again, more unverifiable, unscientific bullshit, straight up.
Ether ocean.
I think it's funny that he says "I think," so he didn't actually look to verify this to see if it was true. He thinks that this is what it is. I think it was the Aztecs that called men walking salt. Remember I was saying,
I think so, yeah.
What was I saying earlier about that all these channels and all these guys that make these science guys that make these videos talking about pseudoscience say every time? They always say, can it be that the ancients Roman is it possible that the Aztecs knew about spacemen coming? You know what I'm saying? They always form it in a way that they have an out, it's just a thought,
Well, they have this feeling about like, hey, I can think if I ask, could it be?
Could it be? Yeah, exactly. Or they'll put it in other people's, the Aztecs believed that blah, 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 blah. Yeah, just because they believed it doesn't mean it's true, Like, come on. This is an interesting way to characterize it, as our bodies are avatars, or the salt of the earth in the Abrahamic teachings that are housing our consciousness, while experiencing different aspects of this reality from different perspectives in this dimension. I admit it is very strange. Why does the universe do this? What is the point? Funny how that's all one sentence. Why does the universe do this? What is the point? That's a run-on sentence of fire for someone. We can only really guess at the question to this question. Oh, what?
I'm sorry, can I jump in first?
Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
I won't be here too long, but I have to say, it's funny how they all use these random things to prove things, but they're always different. Like, he just brought up Aztecs to prove something, and before he brought up Jewish letters to prove something. Yeah, why can't you use it to prove everything?
Yeah.
Why can't one be used to prove everything and then the other be used to prove it? No, it's always one thing proves another, and then something else proves something else. And
it's like all these ancient cultures each had just one thing right. Everything else was wrong, but they all had one thing right. And if you put all those one thing rights together, we could figure it out.
No, but it's nothing right. Like, okay, a Jewish letter equals a number. So what the fuck does it have to do with anything else?
Well, that's what I was saying about
he's just claiming that it's right.
That's what I was saying about his wordplay. How he
numerology.
How he wrote universe but capitalized verse in universe. To say that that's God's song.
It's like writing verse. What? It's so fucking dumb.
He writes elites but capitalized the EL because EL in Hebrew means Saturn. Exactly. It's so stupid.
What?
Yeah.
And the other thing, this is why I had no problem with this guy's video about Tool lyrics, bro, because they mentioned at least 3 Tool lyrics already, and you remember having fucking fun in the chat about it. But at least 3 already.
Yeah.
And this is why I had no problem with that fucking video.
Here's one for you. Could it be that Maynard wrote this stuff knowing 25 years people would be making this shit into another religion.
Nina definitely
Yeah.
buys into all this shit, bro. That sounds like, and it's funny.
I don't know.
Yeah, he might.
I wouldn't say he buys into it. I think he
he has
makes
an
fun of
interest
it
in
by making it look like he
Dude,
buys
this
it.
is like the
And I think he has
first
an interest in
step
it. I don't know if
after
he fully buys it.
atheism. You start going for all this other shit.
Yeah,
that means
spiritual
something.
stuff that.
So it's like
that's not really tied
this
to
is
religion.
the too proud to be an atheist asshole that does this.
Yeah.
I can't believe in nothing, so I gotta find something.
So
that
I got to
makes
connect the dots off of all this stuff
Fucking
in history
pussies.
and make something up from it.
fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking funny. Let's see. We can only really guess at the answer to the question. It could be just some weird quirk that was built into reality that serves no real function. He just admitted it. That's what it could be. You know what I'm saying? With no real function, that's what it could be. That could be the reality. He just admitted it in this article. But this seems very unlikely. Why? Since everything also serves a specific function in reality. Can you prove that? That every single thing serves a specific function. That's going to take multiple lifetimes of science to figure that one out, to prove that. This is where you get vastly differing perspectives and philosophical interpretations of this knowledge. The Gnostics' interpretation of the science is the exact opposite of the Vedic interpretations. But yet, you still take, even though they're both completely opposite interpretations, he still takes bits of both to prove his point. Ridiculous. I will explain more about this later. For now, let's get back to Saturn. As I explained in my article about the number 6, Saturn
comes back around.
Yeah. So
Oh God.
Saturn is in retrograde. Saturn is literally the personification of the number 6 in our solar system. Is it really? It is
Because it's the number 6 planet.
6th planet. That's stupid.
That's what makes it so fucking special, is because it's the 6th planet. What if Uranus was the 6th planet? How would we talk about things in a certain way?
Well,
Uranus is heaven for some people.
Yeah. Well, just,
Hey.
well, just because the whole of Uranus is large doesn't mean. Never mind.
It's funny because it's not really the 6th planet, because there was a planet between Mars and Earth that was
that's where
destroyed because it was too small.
What about like that
Yeah,
little
exactly, the
that
seven.
asteroid ring? You know, what if those are big?
That's what I'm
That's
talking
what Billy's
yeah.
talking about. Yeah. That was
Oh,
a
alright.
planet that got destroyed during creation when the planets were forming.
Creation, you say?
Creation.
Creation?
Whoops.
So you do buy into it?
That was a Freudian slip. You totally believe in it.
See, even atheists believe.
If you're talking about creation, you must be talking some type of... Because we have a monopoly on that word.
Let's see. Saturn. Oh, it is the 6th planet from the sun and 3 planets away from us, whereas the sun is also 3 planets away from us. This makes the sun and Saturn the two
The
opposing
sun is a
poles.
planet?
Yeah. The sun is also... No, it's 3 planets away from us, he's saying. Which is not. We're the 3rd rock, right? So it's not 3 planets away from us. It's 2 planets away from us.
It's the number 3.
Well, it's not 3 planets.
It's half of 6.
It's 2 planets and a sun away. It's not
Yeah,
another
it's not
planet.
planet.
Away.
Damn, what a fuck.
And they're not they're equidistant, sort of, but not really.
But not really, because there's a huge gap where the asteroid belt was. So there's a huge gap in the map.
Yeah, and then
this
to
is
Jupiter,
awful.
it's like triple the fucking
Wow.
distance.
What a fuck up. This makes the sun and Saturn the 2 opposing poles, so to speak, of the Earth. This obviously holds some major significance. The sun and Saturn are opposing forces that form a dynamo effect around the Earth, so they emit the most powerful frequencies, the effect of the material realm we call reality. On top of that, Jupiter is the largest planet and has the largest effect in this solar system.
Oh, God.
Jupiter is the one that has the largest effect on every planet on this solar system, not Saturn. Because it is the largest planet and so dense. This is one reason the concept of the black sun can be applied to Saturn, and one would not be correct in calling Saturn the black sun, but as I previously wrote about, not the only concept the black sun can be applied to, and not even the most important one, to be honest. See, it's all bullshit.
You mean a black hole?
I am black hole sun.
Because that's all a black hole is a black sun.
So here we are. Now, once again, we're talking about something that created the entire universe, but we're still focused on planet Earth.
Yeah, of course. Because it's
one small little galaxy in this small corner, big ass universe. We're still focused on what sits in between Saturn and this one star.
Yeah, it's a personal bias.
You know,
He definitely believes in the Mandela effect. This
Yeah, I
guy,
wouldn't doubt it.
he definitely does.
The Mandela effect is proof through math.
It's proof. There's a video on YouTube where he said, "Luke, I am your father."
Yeah, that's proof. Look, let me show you this video, right? You remember it different, right? It's not because the brain is flawed or anything. One wouldn't. Okay, I remember that part already. But the question is, why do the elites worship Saturn? Do they worship Saturn? When can you prove this? I've never heard of them worshiping Saturn, but I have seen videos of them saying this shit recently. Saturn is said to be the god that ruled over the Golden Age. No.
Said to be. Said to be.
Greek mythology
that's
and
not
Roman mythology.
Yeah, it's not true at all. If the Thunderbolts Project team are correct, Saturn was the sun at one time. What? How can a planet be a sun? What the fuck is this guy talking about?
Because there's so much gas, and now all that gas is shrunk, so it became a planet.
So then, well, if that was true, well, then they would all
There's
be
no nuclear
all the gas
fission
planets
anymore.
would be suns. I don't know if I. Again, here we go. I don't know if I fully support this model as a scientist. You're not a scientist. Because it
He's a scientist.
I asked him.
No,
Yeah, no,
he
existed. I asked him for his PhD. He said he was a scientist, and he was like, "Oh, you don't know what a scientist is."
He's a Christian scientist.
No, he says he says you don't know what higher education means. He puts himself above someone.
So he puts himself above PhDs and actual scientific education.
Didn't we meet some chick that believes in all this stuff a couple of years ago?
I think we did. Who was it?
the dragon feather chick?
Yeah. But no, I actually told this guy last time, like, dude, you got all this shit. You say it's provable, or he said it's
undeniable.
Yeah, undeniable. All the big words. And I'm like, dude, go get your fucking Nobel Prize if that's the case. You have just solved all the answers of the fucking universe with taking a ruler and measuring 1 inch out and drawing a bunch of circles within itself.
Yeah, here he says he doesn't know if he fully supports this model as a scientist, but it can't be proven conclusively. But there is more than enough evidence to show it is highly likely, not just from the science, but the ancient accounts as well. Right.
That right there shows you he's not using the method.
But they love ancients.
I've got enough evidence to convince me, but it's not fully conclusive. But it's enough to convince me, so it's got to be true.
Yeah, because he's
a
scientist. So I mean, if you can convince a scientist, then it must be true. I don't think it even matters in the big scheme of things, honestly, because there are countless reasons people that worship Saturn can claim as their reason for doing so. I don't know anyone who worships Saturn. No one worships Saturn, dude. Where are you coming up with this bullshit? Nobody worships Saturn.
Planets are gods now.
In fact, the ancients couldn't even see Saturn. Saturn wasn't discovered till way later. You can't see Saturn with the human eye, right? I don't think you can. I think the only...
This stuff he says this stuff goes back thousands of years, but yeah, we couldn't see Saturn until
you can't see what it looks like, but you could see the dot, the light.
I can make
planets don't blink, twinkle. They just stay solid.
I don't think it even matters in the big scheme of things, honestly. There are countless reasons. Okay, right there, yeah. Reasons can be different from person to person. I can make a list a mile long of the different things Saturn represents as a deity, and any of them can be chosen at random for a person and claim that worship Saturn for. If you want a general idea of all these traits, this is a great video by Son of Saturn called Saturn, the God of 1,000 Names. And you could spend hours on this channel making your own list if you want that. If you want, then take your pick. Why? Of course, we aren't interested in why the profane worship Saturn. We are interested. Damn, we're fucked up English.
The profane.
Why the profane worship Saturn? Or why the profane? He's calling the people who worship Saturn profane. We are interested in Saturn's significance with respect to our reality. I'm no expert in astrology, but yet you use astrology as a point. In fact, my knowledge of the actual study of astrology is quite limited, but I do know how and why it is important and how it works, as I think I have demonstrated to this point. No, you have not demonstrated it at all. Not even close to demonstrating it. Different planets rule over different ages. Neptune ruled over the age of Pisces, whereas Saturn rules over the age of Aquarius, which we just entered. So this plays some major significance as well, I imagine, for those in the know. Each planet exerts different magnetic frequencies that vibrate at different rates, changing the levels of human intellect and consciousness.
Magnetism.
Yeah, but this is not all they
Magnetism
change.
rules all.
Well, that's what he was saying before. Gravity doesn't exist. It's electromagnetism. There's no gravity. Right.
Yeah, but the thing is, once again, focused on Earth.
Yeah.
He doesn't know where anywhere
That's
else in
funny.
the universe that has it. It's just
even though
on
the
Earth.
major
Thing
contradiction
like
is...
magnetism, electromagnetism is what we know most about.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
One of the four fucking whatevers.
Electromagnetism is easily measurable and known when it's there. You know what I'm saying? It's easily measurable. Gravity is not. Gravity we can measure, but we don't know much about it. They also change the state of what we consider to be matter, as I already explained briefly earlier. Yeah, but you didn't prove, you just explained. This is why we had giants in the ancient world in past ages. Huge beasts called dinosaurs. No, we know why we had dinosaurs. I explained that earlier, why we had giant creatures back in the day. And even plant life was huge, which can be seen by observing Devil's Tower, which is not a mountain, but rather a massive fossilized tree. Look, there's the picture of Devil's Tower.
There's a picture of it. Right?
It's a giant fossilized tree, guys. Oh, here we go.
Are we sure about that?
Where's all this on your shit, Alf?
You don't see
No,
it?
you gotta hit the...
It's just on the stream, or?
Yeah. I could send you the link, though. Hold on. I'll send you the link so you can follow with us.
Nah, it's all right.
All right. But here we go we got to my favorite part, the blue people. Where it shows
yeah.
Knowledge of this science also explains why these giants had different color skin than we do today, even though
giants.
We have no evidence. One, we have no evidence of these giants. Two, even if we did have evidence of these giants, we wouldn't have evidence of what color their skin was. You know what I'm saying? The ancient Aryans are described as being very pale white, pale blue, and even green in some instances in the Vedas and Vedic art, including Egyptian. If this sounds laughable, it definitely is, and bizarre to you, keep in mind this is a recessive genetic trait that still exists to this day as methylomeglobinemia.
And then here you go.
It's fucking what's-his-face's zombies, bro, from Dawn of the Dead.
Now, before you go into your thing about this one gentleman here, you can tell these other two shots of the ladies here are shot the fuck.
Yeah, totally photoshopped. This guy, who he shows a picture of right here, is blue because this guy thought colloidal silver was going to keep him healthy, so he ingested it. He ingested it for decades, 30 years. Over 30 years, he was ingesting colloidal silver.
It's future Rowan.
And the silver collected on his skin and turned his skin a bluish color. But it's not really blue, it's silver, because the silver was actually collecting on his skin, trying to make its way out, of his body. And then he died from it. So there you go.
Future Rowan.
So was it this guy? It's funny he uses this picture as proof of this recessive genetic trait when this wasn't. We know that this wasn't genetic. It was because he was ingesting silver.
Well, that's how we caught this right off the bat. Was because we have a guy in our server named Rowan that he thought doing colloidal silver would help him stay younger, and he showed us an article and it had this same guy in that article. That's how we caught that.
Yeah, and then he ended up dying a few days after we found him. I was like, oh shit. But this is complete bullshit. He got really upset when I posted this picture in the chat and said, oh yeah, this
that's
guy,
when he really started flipping out.
I was like, this guy isn't blue because of some genetic trait. It's because he was ingesting silver.
Because you poked a massive Shiva six-fist hole in this whole dude's religion.
Yeah,
so like right off the bat with just this one picture.
And then he got mad saying, "Oh, I didn't say it proves it," and I was like, "Yeah, but why would you put this picture in there then? you're misleading the people reading this because you're putting this picture of this blue dye, and before putting this picture, you said that it's a recessive genetic trait we see it now, and put this guy's picture. So it's obviously a misdirection, and you're deceiving people." Fucking crazy guy, man.
You're so triggered, Al.
Yeah, I'm so triggered. When you understand that these planets emit these different frequencies in numerous spectrums, it isn't hard to understand the visual light spectrum frequencies are linked to this phenomenon, as well as obviously has some effect on skin tones and colors among other physical aspects they affect, and even merging multiple dimensions into a single reality, which is how these past beings had what we consider to be magical powers to manipulate the ether and interact with other entities outside of our current dimension. We commonly refer to as demons and angels, as well as other types of entities that inhabit other dimensions.
Ancient people had powers that we don't have. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
It's fucking nuts.
But he's not showing us anything to back it. He just says it is.
It's true.
He's taking things ancient. He's taking things ancient people say by word value, without people who didn't use science, and he's taking it at word value and then saying it's science.
Good Lord.
If you want to learn more about these entities, there is a YouTube channel that is run by a friend of my old channel called Ancient Mystery. Oh, I know that channel. That's funny. That does some of the best work on YouTube in this regard, as well as the Fear channel. That one I don't know.
Well, we're done with this. We need to look at that.
Yeah. yeah. It's some of the best work on YouTube, dude. I mentioned it in the Root Races article. In the introduction to the Mysteries video, there is even a specific experiment when nucleotides in water are formed directly into DNA by simply being manipulated by electromagnetic frequencies in the water. Sure it is, buddy. If we could put nucleotides in water and manipulate them with an electromagnetic frequency to turn them into DNA, then we can probably create beings out of water with nucleotides. You know what I'm saying? Oh boy. Now let's go back to the original question. What is reality? Most people think this reality is like an episode of Seinfeld or Sex and the City, and it is to the profane. But for the initiated, it is more like an episode of X-Files, or better yet, the movie Hellboy.
So we're going from a situational comedy, which could easily be based in real life, to fiction. Almost like science fiction.
Straight up science fiction,
yeah. So the initiated buys into every science fiction possibility. This guy has watched too many goddamn movies.
Yeah. The way things are now is nothing like they were in the past, not even just 5,000 years ago at the time of the ancient Aryans described. I think he meant described.
Dude, how long till he brings up the Fibonacci sequence?
Oh, he did right at the beginning. It was like the second paragraph, and he misspelled it. And he misspelled Fibonacci.
Does he write parabola?
No, he didn't.
No, not yet. No, that'll come up soon.
Talking animals. Look at this. Talking animals. Pale blue giants, fairies, trolls, demons. This is all true history, and all of the evidence this is the best part, and all of the evidence exists to prove it beyond any doubt. And I have it all here at the website and my video archive. This is, oh man, I might do a series on this and go through all this.
This guy's a scientist. Awesome.
Yeah, he's a scientist, right?
This guy's fucking awesome.
There is a good CGI movie called Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within that does a good job demonstrating what it is like when dimensions merge into yugas. Oh my god.
So that's his evidence.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
Made up movie.
Yeah,
that's his fucking
I love that he's pointing movies, fantasy movies, like science fiction movies to point out his thing.
His evidence is video games.
In the movie, the entities from two different dimensions are interacting in the third dimension. The spirits are ethereal with very low density compared to the matter and entities from the third dimension, which is how it really happens, I would imagine. Yeah, you would imagine. That's a key word there. Imagine. Even J.R.R. Tolkien, author of Lord of the Rings, was very clear that the stories he wrote were true history from books.
Dude, I was just going to mention Tolkien. I swear to you, I'm not fucking kidding when he said trolls and shit.
Not some fictional fairy tales he made up. But if he got them... This is insane.
This guy's a troll, right? This guy's a troll.
I don't know. He has a Discord filled with a bunch of people where he just posts this stuff and talks to people about this.
Oh God!
He told us he would take 5 of us and within a week teach us, and we would believe him after he taught us this stuff.
He would tutor us.
He would tutor us. I kind of wanted to take him up on that because I think that shit. I would OBS that shit and probably be hilarious. But yeah, because he got them from sacred texts, that means that it's true history. It couldn't possibly be that the old texts weren't actually true either. You know, they had to be true because they're old.
Tolkien is real.
Well, Tolkien is kind of old, so
yeah, Tolkien's old. So I mean, how come he's not true? He had to make.
He
that
really
up.
said this. That's
yeah,
crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
This is some shit, man.
Yeah, that's why I told you this shit was funny.
Like, this
man.
is why you kick all these people as soon as they come in the Discord.
I hear you, but this is funny, man. This is so funny.
What is the point?
We were going to, but it was like, you know what? Let's see how far we could. It got
not
to
if
the
they're
point where
respectful. He was just a cunt. So
well, so were we. Once he started acting like that, we started acting. So we started. He made the mistake of telling us one time, "Hey, stop tagging me in all your posts." Oh, okay.
Okay, so we kept tagging him. Everybody, even people who weren't part of it, were coming in to tag him. Like Mike, Mike came in last night out of nowhere and started tagging him. I was cracking up. All right, let me get to the next sentence. What we perceive to be reality with our five senses is only about 0.0000001% of actual reality. What our experience
numbers.
Yeah, he just made that number up. There's
that's wow. There's a lot.
And actually, you know what's funny? It's funny you mentioned that because that fucking guy that was in here or in the chat earlier that I timed out, he said the same exact shit.
Did he? Yeah. Where's the math for that? I want to see it.
If everything is off by just that little bit, we can't exist.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker.
Not really. There's a huge gap between it. We could still be further from the sun to a certain degree, or closer to the sun to a certain degree.
We only perceive 0.0001 of reality. That's amazing.
I like when people say stuff like that, like, "Oh, look, if we were just off by 0.0001%, we would be, we couldn't exist." And it's like, the vast distance, 0.0001% is still a huge distance, compared to the massive distances, It's still a huge distance.
What do you mean? Talking about what? The sun?
No, that's what I'm saying. That he's not talking about the sun there, but I'm saying how people say that, how they'll be like, "Oh, if we were just this much off, we wouldn't be." But they don't understand the scope of the numbers.
They don't know those numbers, bro. Those are made-up numbers, they say. They don't know shit.
What our experience of reality is in the current epoch is like looking into a forest and only seeing a leaf. This reality consists of far more than what most people think it is. But even if that is true, it still doesn't prove a creator. You know what I'm saying? None of this does. Even if all of this was true, it still wouldn't prove a creator. We as light beings, energy, don't even really need food to power our avatars, even in the current density, as evidenced by those that practiced grounding and sun gazing. Right. I want to see this guy go 10 years without eating.
He's not going to go 10 years.
He's not going to do it.
I'd love to see it. That means he'd be dead in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. But if he wants to prove that these avatars don't have to eat to survive, then he should prove it. Put your money where your mouth is and stop eating.
I wonder how much
for years
he thinks the movie Avatar is real.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm surprised he hasn't brought it up.
Blue, fucking another dimension type shit.
Using crystals and consuming monoatomic elements. What does that even? What is a monoatomic element? Does that mean one atom? That's like the
hydrogen.
Yeah, that's hydrogen. Monoatomic is hydrogen. There's only one atom.
It's just a carbon.
Yeah, there's only one element that's one atom. What the fuck?
That's so fucking retarded.
And then he says, like Ormus and numerous other techniques to power our avatar is also possible to raise our vibrational frequency. This is why the Vedas describe one of the factors signaling we are moving into the Kali Yuga was the people starting slaughtering cows for food as we were moving into a more dense reality where consciousness and intellect were falling to lower levels and more dense sources of energy were needed to power our avatars that were also becoming more dense.
All this, that's crazy.
Man. Everything in the yeah, this guy's insane. Everything in the hollow fractal universe is constructed of light, energy.
Hollow fractal.
Hollow fractal. That's the name of the article. Is what is the reality? The hollow fractal universe is the title of this article.
Oh my god!
Because he's basically saying everything's an illusion. It's a hologram. It's a fractal hologram.
46 and 2's ahead of this guy.
Yeah. He's got. He's gone through his shadow, and now he's got 46 and 2.
Fuck my life.
We call these little parcels of energy atoms. Yeah, that's what we call them. Sure.
Yeah, that's what atoms are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
he misspelled uninitiated. He put unitiated. The unitiated look around them and see tables, bricks, paint, wood, etc. What the initiated see is light vibrating at different frequencies that create a myriad of forms we call matter. Now, it's atoms, not light, it's atoms. Light is photons. You don't know science. Like, you don't know science. Light is photons. I got a super chat.
Yeah, from Steven Sugar.
Oh, Steve. Thanks, Steve.
His language was so vile once he got triggered right off the bat. Extremely weak. Some guru.
Yeah. I like Marino says 46 in blue. 46 in blue ahead of me.
Oh, fucking.
Dude, so he's got this picture from The Matrix. Like,
yeah, the picture from The Matrix.
He saw a movie, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Or, excuse me, oh my creator. This is it.
Yeah. He's basically saying atoms is light, too. Atoms are not light. Photons are light. Like, what are you talking about? Atoms are different than photons. What the initiated see is light vibrating. Yeah, no, light vibrating is how we see colors, not how we see things as being solid or intangible. That's a different thing. That's how much the atoms are vibrating. Vibrate frequencies that create a myriad of forms we call matter. Think of the movie The Matrix, where Neo is seeing the code of the Matrix. This is a good way to understand and visualize it. I think this
Here's
guy's
my evidence. A fucking movie.
This guy's taking DMT or something, because this is what DMT does. When you take DMT with your eyes open, you feel like you can see all aspects of things. Like, you can look at a wall and you can see what's inside the wall. You can see every screw, every fucking plank of wood, you know?
Oh my god.
That's what he's taking. That's basically what he's explaining here, which is like the Tool song, right? Parabola.
This guy's a fucking plank, bro.
Where does one object end and another begin? I mean, that's not hard to explain. It is a matter of perspective directly related to your level of understanding of the Matrix. The concept is called oneness in Hindu and Buddhism. The Egyptians also called the concept the law of one. What else can you call it? Honest, who cares what you call it? What you call it doesn't make any difference. I am sure this concept is present in all ancient pagan religions Rome destroyed in the West in some form, as they were all bastardized, culture-centric forms of Hindu passed down from Atlantis. You hear this?
Atlantis, though. This guy believes in Atlantis.
Pagans. This guy's saying pagans were worshipping.
He said all the Celtic and pagan tribes robbed their shit from the Hindu that passed down from Atlantis.
And the Hindus were in Atlantis somehow. Somehow the Hindus were in Atlantis. Okay.
Dude, Erin definitely believes in Atlantis. Probably.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does.
She was probably on this shit.
She's his number one fan.
The below image is this reality and everything in it. The further away you are from understanding this, the more you develop what is known as ego and the misunderstanding that you are somehow separate from everything else. This is this image. What? He doesn't even explain what each image is. He just says, yeah, that's the image, explains it.
I hope he doesn't wear that grudge like a crown.
I swear, this guy's definitely going to throw in a Letter Alice cover on
Yeah. I wonder if he does listen to Tool. Maybe we should introduce him to Tool. He'd probably love it.
I mean, I love Tool, but like, this is my only problem with them.
Yeah, the pseudoscience.
They buy into nonsense.
The movie The Matrix was a great representation of this reality on many levels. After all, we create in the creator's image.
Dude, The Matrix was made by like two transsexuals.
Yeah, that's true.
That out of nowhere.
And they weren't transsexuals yet when they made it. They were transsexuals by the time they finished the trilogy. Well, one was.
And who this guy would hate because they're degenerate.
Yeah, true. Because they're the profane, as he says. They probably worship Saturn.
Profane.
They probably worship Saturn.
So vain.
So vain. When you come to the realization that everything in this reality is light energy that holds information, you begin to come to realization that anything is possible, and you are a fractal of the creator itself, of infinite light and consciousness. If anything's possible, let's see you grow a tree instantly, like out of the ground, in 3 seconds. I want to see this, a fully formed tree in 3 seconds. Anything's possible, let's see you do it. Our avatars act out our thoughts in this dense level of reality, but the thought dimension is much less dense. It is where our thoughts come from and where we visit in our dreams. The thought dimension only differs from the dimension in density. Oh boy. You mean your subconscious? that's
Your
the thought
mind
dimension.
density.
Yeah. Thoughts take far less time to materialize in the thought dimension than in this one, which is why your dreams seem to last
I want to
much
go there.
longer while dreaming than they did. I love that this guy said that this is all provable fact, and yet there has been no
It
science
hasn't
of
proven
this at
any
all.
of it.
Yeah, there's been
All
no
of
proof.
this.
It's just been complete speculation and like just connecting dots.
Oh, look,
and making
there
up
it is,
stories.
bro.
There it is.
Parabola lyrics, basically.
Where? Oh, yeah.
Reality is merely an illusion.
Yeah, all this
Yeah.
pain is an illusion, right? We are eternal, all this pain is an illusion.
Oh my god, bro. You can't make it up. I mean, we did make it up.
Yeah,
It's
you
true.
can make it up.
It's
You
so
can make it up, 100%. This one, which is why your dreams seem to last much longer while dreaming than they did in this denser reality when you wake up. It is comparable to moving underwater versus moving on land. This reality is a construct, and the mind of the creator is another way to think of it.
But isn't the water a construct?
Yeah, but anything's possible, so you should be able to move through the water just as
So
move on
yeah, why can't you move through the water normal?
land. Yeah.
Just not brain strong enough, bro.
Yeah. I mean, water,
Even
but water's just light. It's infinite light with consciousness.
It's just light atoms.
Yeah, it's just light atoms. That's all it is. Vibrating at a different frequency. That's all.
Okay, we definitely know where this dude stands. Even Einstein, who was wrong about most everything else, understood this.
I'll get to that. This
Sorry.
reality is a construct in the mind of the creator is another thing. The ether ocean is what all matter is created from, and there are many levels and dimensions to this construct. It is also an elaborate illusion of solidity and reality. Even Einstein, who was wrong about almost everything else, understood this. It's just like you said, Billy, how they were wrong about everything, but they were right about one thing. You take the one thing everybody's right about.
Yeah, right about like the hardest shit on earth to fucking figure out.
This is exactly cherry picking, right? This is like where you just find what fits your bias and say, well, he was right about that one thing. Everything else is wrong. Oh my god.
Yeah, a guy who was wrong about almost everything, I believe, knows the answers to like the most important shit.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
This reality is constructed of atoms, which are small bits of the universal consciousness. Our thoughts do not come from our brains, neither does our consciousness. They all come from the ether. Our brain just... Damn, this guy's and his run-on sentences. Our brain just processes them for our avatar in this dimension. Much like playing a video game, the character you see on the screen is not using its digital representation of a head to think. The processor does that and projects it onto the television. The ether is the processor in this reality, and everything we perceive with our five senses is merely a projection it manifests for us to experience. I know for those new to this material, it may seem like bizarre foreign language. No, it doesn't seem like... It seems bizarre, but it doesn't seem like foreign language. I understand everything this guy's saying. It just doesn't have proof, which is what he said. You don't understand, but be incredibly difficult, and it's not difficult to process at all. I provide all the sources here, and you haven't provided any source here in the article to prove all this to be true, though it will take time to study and understand to prove to yourself. You haven't provided any sources. All your sources are videos. They're not scientific sources. They're not sources that have been peer-reviewed, that have been, experimented on, predictions made, and repeated over and over again to prove that it's true. At least we're almost done. There are numerous good interpretations of this knowledge in fiction and religious texts besides the Matrix movie.
Comparing the Matrix movie to religious texts, they're both as fucking
The Vedas
fake as can be, I guess.
The Vedas and the Dhammapada describe it as a dream, an illusion. This concept is called Mara in Buddhism and Maya in Hindu.
I hate fucking people who talk about this shit.
Yeah, it's true. It's so fun. It's so weird. The Toltecs, the fourth root race of the Atlanteans, also use the dream concept in their teachings. The fourth root race of the Atlanteans, guys.
We never found Atlantis, but we have their teachings.
But we have their teachings. We have the knowledge. We have the knowledge of all their root races to know that the Toltecs.
Because they told some fucking yokels that survived. Wow.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Man. Hermetics calls bad English again. Hermetics calls it a thought from the universe is mental, as taught by Kabbalion. Is that like the Kabbalah stuff? Oh, God.
Yeah.
The modern Gnostics call it a simulation. This should not be taken literally, however. I highly doubt we are in a computer simulation. You highly doubt. Yeah, that's very scientific there. But Vortex math shows it is very much like a computer simulation, and nothing is random. Well, if it's like a computer simulation, why do you doubt we're in a computer simulation?
wait a minute. What is Vortex math?
We'll look that up afterwards. It comes
that
from
math that not every mathematician understands.
Oh yeah, the math that no mathematician can figure.
At the beginning,
this guy can.
At the beginning, he said it came from Tesla. He said Tesla's Vortex math, which he shows a picture of Tesla right here. With a quote saying, "My brain is only a receiver in the universe. There is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists." But he had no proof that it exists. They couldn't prove that.
So basically, Tesla was right about everything else, wrong on this, and this guy goes with it.
And let me say that Tesla was not a physicist. He was an engineer. He was an inventor. He was an engineer. He was not a physicist. What was I? Blah, blah, blah. Nothing is random, and it is all cyclical within the Vedic scriptures have always contended. So this guy's, you could tell, he's probably Indian. He grew up Hindu or something. Doesn't fully believe the Hinduism, but he uses all these other religions to root back to his Hindu beliefs and come up with a different belief. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I love about that picture? It's like, I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core.
Yeah.
But I know that it exists.
But I know that it exists, yeah.
It's exactly the same shit these people.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Which Tesla, there's no doubt he was a genius and he was a great inventor. But he, like I said, he wasn't a physicist. When it came to like deep science and physics, he was fucking a nutball. You know what I'm saying? He was good with machines. That's what he did.
Isn't he Russian too? Fuck him.
I think Yugoslavian. Yeah. But I mean, I'm not doubting he was a genius. He came up with a lot of genius invention. I mean, the Tesla coil was genius, and changed a lot of things for us. But
Vortex, the spiral, it's creeping up.
Yeah. Well, we'll go into the Vortex shit after this.
We're going through every song on Let Around.
Yeah.
Song.
Yeah, we know where Tool must have read this. That's where they got their ideas from.
Well, that's the thing. None of these are original ideas.
No, I was saying that at the beginning.
Been out for ages.
I was saying that at the beginning that all this stuff is all not new to me. I've looked into this stuff like 5-6 years ago.
Like that's why when I make videos about atheism or anything, I never go to like the typical standard talking points that they all have because I'm giving my reasons. Like I'm saying why I believe this and that. Like, so just spouting out stupid shit that atheists say that may or may not be true, like, well, there's no point. Like, it's boring then. You're just some fucking
repeating things.
You're just a copy and paste dude. Like,
however, as I previously mentioned, we create in the image of the creator using the same rules of creation. So computer simulations are simply our newest attempt to model and understand this reality. No, it's us copying it. It's literally art imitating life. I also mentioned earlier in the article the holodeck from Star Trek example as another great way to visualize and understand this. Although it doesn't work, again, because I'll say it again. The people going into the holodeck aren't illusions. They're real people surrounded by illusions. He's saying that everyone's an illusion, that your body's an illusion. But in Star Trek, in the holodeck, your body's not an illusion. It's actually you, surrounded by illusions. The movie Total Recall is another good one. Osmosis Jones, yet another one. Osmosis Jones. In fact, Osmosis Jones is one of my favorite examples to use, but I like to combine it with one of the others to have a correct technical aspects. Sure, that's exactly what happens when you combine Osmosis Jones with Total Recall. You get correct technical aspects. Good way to think of this reality and our function in it is that we are blood cells in the universe life from Gaia. Here, this is funny. To serve our function in the health of the universal organism basically functions the same as a clock or computer simulation. Here is another one again. Let's say we are inside the body of a giant creature. That creature wouldn't be our creator. We are not the creators of the beings inside of us, like the bacteria in our gut. We didn't create that bacteria. I didn't bring life to those things. The antibodies in me, I didn't bring life to those things. So even if we were inside a giant being and we're the anti-blood cells of this giant being, that doesn't mean that being created us.
Stupid, bro.
It's lacking seriously.
They've already proven that, like, atoms don't work like solar systems. It's not the same
No, it
shit.
doesn't.
We're not
No.
inside some small being. It's a bigger being. It's so fucking dumb. Oh my god.
I am going to stop here for now, as the length of this article far exceeded the length I thought it would. Really? You should have known it was going to be this long. You're a wordy motherfucker. I have a lot of the second part already written, most of it in fact, but realizing the length, I decided to break it into 2 parts, and we'll publish the next one. Yeah, which you already did, but we're not going to go into that.
Publish.
Yeah, publish.
Yeah, I clicked send on the fucking internet. That's publishing.
Oh, there's a video for Vortex math. There's no sound in it, though. There it is.
Honestly, I really don't care. I just wanted to point that out. Like, he's just using these big words. Hey, these words sound cool.
Let's just
made up words that mean nothing, that in themselves are fucking become.
I'm gonna
These words sound cool. I'm gonna use them in everything that I do from now on.
really quick. I'm gonna go through some of the titles to the articles. I'm not gonna read articles, but on his website, I'm gonna go through some of the titles. Look at this one. The Joker, the incel meme, and reading between the lines. That's how you know this is a kid. This is not an adult.
Yep.
This is a kid.
Yep.
DNA study finds early inhabitants of Israel were blue-eyed, fair-skinned. Yeah, is that what it is? Oh, look at this one.
Okay.
DNA analysis of bones found in ancient grave dating as much as 6,000 years. Israel's been around for more than 6,000. Humanity's been around for more than 6,000
Can't get
years.
DNA from bones.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
Not 6,000
You
years
need like bone marrow to get fucking.
Google's grand wizards caught casting their spells. That's another one.
Google's grand wizards.
Yeah, caught casting their spells. Yeah. Mind control in the 21st century. Alternative platforms against the machine.
Billy, you need to find out what this dude is smoking.
Another proof. Here's more proof that he's a kid. This article's called "The Hitchhiker's Guide to Clown World" and has Pepe and clown stuff.
This guy reads like anything on the internet. He reads that isn't like what's told to you to be true. He believes, bro.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is why he never answered my question.
Yeah.
That I asked like 4 times.
And this is why he never could show us any proof when we were asking him.
I asked him if he was a virgin. He would not answer.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely a virgin.
So, yeah.
How to destroy America in 8 easy steps. What? Why would you want to destroy America? The truth will stand on its own.
That's what the leftists want to do.
Yeah.
Don't you get it?
Yeah, it's true.
He's trying to figure out the enemy.
Saturn's Children, Chapter 8 of From Chaos and Creation by Alfred de Grazia. Oh, here we go. Your aura and 12 chakras, keys to the kingdom. Right.
Chakras.
Esoteric astrology.
Chakras, bro. That's the fucking
chakra,
shit. All fucking
Ormus, mana of the pharaohs.
Suck my chakra.
Oh my god, this is insane.
Chakras.
Atlantis and the gods of antiquity. The war of the ancient Aryans / Atlanteans as described in the Vedas.
Ancient Nazis.
Aryans, yeah, I guess you could say that. We fought the Illuminati, champions of the people.
Oh no.
I guess we lost.
A treatise on state citizenship. How to reclaim your sovereignty. It's like sovereign citizenship.
Oh my god.
Oh, this one's under health. Let's see what he has under health. Grounded to Gaia, electric beings of frequency.
This guy's gonna shoot a place up here soon.
Yeah, this guy's fucking nuts, dude.
He's gonna shoot a place up. He's gonna kill at least 30 people.
The magic power of words and why words rule the world. Oh shit, that's something like Jordan Peterson.
Vortex math, esoteric numbers. Yeah.
Elder Scrolls, lore of the mysteries. The video game Elder Scrolls. Video game Elder Scrolls and its symbolisms shows the lore of the frequency.
Wow. It's the number 6, man. It's the pen stroke.
Ancient symbols: the serpent, dragon, and Atlantis. Hey, Baphomet. There you go.
Hearted.
He's got one on Baphomet.
Yeah.
This guy's a tool, bro.
I like it.
He's a tool.
I like the whole Baphomet thing because it just pisses people off.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about it. I just like it freaks everybody out.
Baphomet wasn't originally an evil symbol. It was the symbol that the Knights Templar knelt in front of. Yeah, it was supposed to be a symbol of their holiness.
But after the Enlightenment, they made it evil.
Yeah, after the Catholics turned against them and burnt them alive, they turned it into something evil.
Yeah.
Or pagans.
No, it's like the upside down cross. It's just like the biggest troll ever, the oldest troll. Because you can tell that people get so fucking on edge about a symbol that has no bearing on anything. But if you take that symbol and just turn it upside down, holy fuck, the world ends.
Fucking
So,
crazy.
what do you guys...
I gotta run.
I'll see you, Billy. Take care.
All right,
Thanks
what were
for
you
coming.
gonna say, actually?
Well, I was going to ask the chat what they thought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good.
Good night. What did you guys think in the chat of this psychopath? It's all fucking speculation. None of it has any scientific proof. That's the point I was trying to make, is that I don't care if you're into this kind of stuff, but once you say that it's undeniable and it's true and it's a fact, you're insane. You don't understand what science is. You don't understand what facts are.
It's the same. It's the
facts.
Same religious argument.
Yeah.
It has to be true because I believe in it, and if you don't believe in it, you're just not up to speed mentally. You know, you don't have the IQ to keep up with me because you don't believe in the same horse shit that I do.
Exactly. And these people have a need to be special, so they have to be part of some, just like you see with the flat earthers and all these science deniers. Oh, we're privy to some secret special knowledge that nobody else can see, and everybody's lying about, and they have you all following their knowledge that's not true. They're lying to you and you believe it, but we're special. We don't believe these things. And it's just wanting to be special and thinking you know something that everybody else doesn't.
Yeah. Tony White in the chat says psychopath is going to have a Richard Spencer-esque meltdown.
Yeah.
Well, he almost did in the server last night.
Yeah, he almost did.
He got to the point where he kept calling myself and Alf over and over and over again feral N-words.
Yeah, he kept calling us feral N-words and wouldn't stop. That was the same word. He's unoriginal. That's all he had. He kept calling us that. I called him out. I told him he's a coward. I told him, hey, my name's Alf. I'm from New Jersey. Where are you from? What's your name? He wouldn't tell me. I was like, you're a coward.
See, Alfie was being more serious. I was doing stuff in the vein of like, hey, go get six-fisted from Shiva, you know?
Yeah. I was kind of doing that stuff too, telling him he was getting gaped. He likes to get gaped. I want to see how he made the leap from deistic God to the Bible God. Always looking for that. Well, he's not talking about the Bible God. Yeah, it's not the Bible God.
He definitely kind of argued immediately. He said he never once mentioned a God. He always called it like the All Father or the Creator.
Yeah, he did say
He never mentioned really God.
No, yeah, he doesn't believe in any specific religious God. What he does is take all these different religions and he puts them together to form this, not a totally ambiguous thing that created the universe, and saying that it's energy. We live in the energy of God and we're part of his fractal.
Oh yeah, he did call us, was it Shudras?
Shudras, yeah, which is the worker caste of
basically, he's putting himself above us, like he's
They're saying we're
but he's probably every bit of 4'11".
Yeah. They try to talk tough, right? I was like, yeah, you're real tough, but you won't even tell me your name, so you're not tough at all. Anything you say is irrelevant. Yeah, Steve just brought that up. Also calling you guys lower caste Hindus, yeah. I'm not even Hindu. But I was did I mention that earlier? That the first video I saw in his BitChute, let me go to his BitChute real quick to show these.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? Now I'm not gonna remember what it was. I could probably find it. BitChute. Body.
Bitch. Ute.
Yeah, it should BitChute. That's what he uses. Alright, so if you guys are interested, I'll show you his BitChute so you guys can laugh at it. It's Body Mantra. Yeah. And the first video, which is the most recent video, already wrong. Sumerians in ancient Peru. There were no Sumerians in ancient Peru. I'm a Peruvian. I know Peruvian history. When I watched this video...
No, you don't. Not like he does.
Not like he does, right?
Yeah.
Right off the bat, the video says that the first civilization in Peru was formed by late Titicaca, which is not true. The first civilization in South America was formed in Norte Chico, Peru, which is in the north, very close to Ecuador. Titicaca's in the south, closer to Chile.
Question.
And split with
that lake is hard to get to, isn't it?
No,
Like
no,
it's
people
not
live
easily accessible.
there. Maybe in the old days, but people live there. I mean, it's split with Bolivia. People live
Well,
on
I
both
mean,
sides of it.
like it's at a higher elevation, right?
Yeah, it's high
Like,
up. It's right next to a mountain. There's a huge mountain, right? It's the lake is
Okay.
at the bottom of the mountain. Depending on which side you're on, it's hard to get to.
Okay, that's just a little side thing.
But they were saying that when the ice age resided in that area, that the first civilization formed there, which is not true. We've seen that
No.
there's older civilizations than that formed. Even Quito in Ecuador is older than it, and there's like 2 or 3 civilizations in Peru that formed before that one did. Yeah, ancient Vimana, which we still have no proof that actually existed. Ancient Persian Alexander the Great, can't really tell from the title if there's bullshit in it, but there most likely is. Well, look, like I was saying, a lot of these are from, as you can see, created by Viper TV Studios. If you look that up, which I did, right? Viper TV Studios, here's their YouTube channel. Let me go to their About page. Oh, wait, that's the link to their website? Yeah, this is their website, right? About. Let me click this.
About
Viper TV Films, and Viper Documentaries have taken every care in preparation and publication of content in this website to the extent of permitted by applicable law. Viper TV Films, Viper TV Documentaries disclaim all warranties express or implied as to the accuracy of the information contained in any of the published material on this site. Therefore, these people release content that they will not put their name. Well, they'll put their name on it, but they will not say is true, and pretty much don't want to be held liable for these not being true. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, they're putting it up. It's meant to be entertainment. It's meant not.
yeah.
To be
So basically, if your teenager becomes a fucking lunatic from reading all this stuff, you as parents cannot hold us responsible for when he flips out on you guys.
Their website has a disclaimer saying that we don't say any of this is true. The advanced technology of Atlantis, the historic timeline of humanity based on the facts. I'm sure. Then he has a video by Sticky Fingers that used to be in Onyx. I don't know why. He must like them, I guess. Historical Aryan migration that shows a Hindu with white skin. Which there are Hindus with white skin, but it doesn't mean they're Aryan. The climate alarmist and scam. Oh shit, climate change isn't real. It's a scam.
Oh god.
He's even on that. Toroidal flow, the source of magic. This is the video that came up when I clicked Vortex math on his site. Was toroidal flow, the source of magic. Nice. The science of the hollow earth. Inner Earth civilizations, Agartha. See, these are all myths and fairy tales that he's taking as being true and using these and saying, look, these all connect, so this has to be true. Because ancient people said these things existed. Rorschach of the Watchmen? What? Why? The hidden history of humanity. If it's hidden, how do you know it?
Yeah.
I love when people say...
Like I said at the beginning of this, what makes this motherfucker privy to the knowledge that the rest of us aren't? And then when we ask him about it, he tells you to go look it up your damn self.
This is where I find funny is that these people are like, oh no, but this is secret knowledge. Well, if it's secret knowledge, how are there videos on YouTube about it? That isn't a very good secret. If you can publicly publish things about it, it's not a very good held secret. That's the funny part. All right, I think I'm going to end this now, though. I think we've seen enough of this guy.
Yeah.
I might look more into this, guys, and maybe stream on more stuff, maybe respond to some of these videos, because it is pretty funny and entertaining. So I might do that. But for now, we're done with this. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything else. But, yeah, this guy's a coward. He didn't even come here and try to type in the chat, because he knew what was going to happen. What did he say yesterday? That, you laughing at me doesn't mean anything. I have millions of people laugh at me all the time.
Yeah, I've had millions of people laugh at me already. Yeah. This is nothing.
What a shocker. I'm quite surprised that millions of people
laugh at me. If it's you against the rest of the world, who do you think has the problem?
Well, that's kind of the point, right? Because they are privy to secret knowledge that not everybody can understand.
And he says at the very end of all this, he will be the last one.
He will be the last one to laugh. Sure you will, buddy.
Just like the Christians say, when, we laugh up in heaven and look down to see you in hell.
Yeah. Oh, there's no atheists in foxholes, right?
I was one.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had two near-death experiences in my life. I was an atheist through all of those. I never, none of those experiences made me believe in God, even even the time where I saw stuff while I was dying, I still did not believe in God. Even when I took DMT and saw things and beings, I didn't believe that they were some fucking magical beings or God or angels. No, because I know for sure that the brain plays tricks on us and makes us perceive things that aren't really there. It's just like, I'm not going to have a dream of an angel and say, oh, angels are real, because I had a dream. I've seen that the people who have like near-death experiences and they say, oh, I had a near-death experience and I was in hell, and then God sent an angel down to take me out of hell and I was brought back to life. He said it wasn't my time. Yeah, that's kind of like a dream, right? Like, you wouldn't say, if you had that as a dream, you wouldn't say it was real and believe it was real, right? But for some reason, because you were in near-death experience, which we know you release DMT just like you do when you're dreaming, you're going to automatically think that it's real? Like, that doesn't make any sense. All right. Thanks, guys, for coming. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see me do more, I guess let me know. I'm not sure. But it is interesting. I might. But let me end this now. Good night.